Harish, shall we start?
Yes, we can.
There are about 70 people now. I hope people will join. Our Indian punctuality, correct?
Yes.
So I'm just putting it live, and then in a few seconds we'll start.
We can start. Sure.
Good evening, friends. A warm welcome to all of you for a wonderful short webinar by the great Harrish Sai Raman. I will just take 2-3 minutes to introduce Tapams to you, then I'll hand over to Harish. Hope that should be fine. So Tapams is a consulting company focusing on 6 major areas. And we have offices in Chennai. Chennai is headquarters, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Madurai, Coimbatore, Baroda, and also in Italy, Singapore, and UAE. So it's a 24 years, I call it 24 years young consulting company. We started in 1996 in Gujarat for implementing lean concepts. Rather, we are the first company in the country to practice lean concepts. 300 plus clients we worked, around 50 plus different kind of industries we worked, around 500 plus years of collective experience our team has to build the technical and management strategies. If we see the focus areas, we are into turnaround management. We help loss incurring companies to become profit making, or profit making companies to accelerate the growth of their profit and business. And CEO coaching, how to be a real and professional CEO irrespective of the size and type of the business, that we do mostly for MSMEs. Then world-class manufacturing through lean concepts. We are the first one to start as early as 1996 in the country. And OEM supply readiness, more specific to automotive industries. We help them to be prepared to be qualified for any OEMs across the world. And we also have a digital transformation consulting division we recently started about 6 months back. So we help companies to completely get transformed into digital. So I think it has become not only a buzzword, it become a need of the day today after this COVID situation. We also conduct a lot of need-based training. So this is about Tapams, and this is some of the clients like Indo-German Tool Room, Newton Engineering, Nash, SRM Group, SKF, some textile companies, IT companies, publication companies, and automotive companies like Sunbeam, Fener, Tata Motors, Marco Polo, Mahindra Two Wheelers, to name a few. And a lot of pharma companies also we worked. And this is CEO coaching for a few companies we listed out. So turnaround alone, we have done about 40 companies till now, and all other things combined about 300 plus. So this is about us, and a quick introduction about Harrish. Harrish has conducted, Harrish, are you there in the video? Harrish, can you see in the video, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So Harrish conducted over 2,000 plus seminars, and I've attended a couple of his programs. It was really mesmerizing. So I requested him to conduct this program. He's kindly accepted to do it free of cost. Otherwise, I call him as a mini Shivkera. That's the kind of trainer he is, and I'm sure he will accept with me by end of it. He's a leading hypnotherapist, life and spiritual coach. He was awarded the training data of the year by World HRD Congress and ET Economics Times now. Known for his insightful sessions and spiritual essence. So he not only guides the corporates who excel well, but also he helps senior people to excel in their life also well. So Harish, thanks a lot for this kind courtesy, and it's a pleasure always meeting you. And can you kindly take over, please?
Sure, definitely. Thank you very much, and a very good evening to all of you, and absolute gratitude for having me here. And we're going to call the session as Stay Strong, Stay Positive. So before we go ahead with the session, let's set certain expectations. Point number one, the webinar is going to be approximately for 60 minutes. And a lot of people say 60 minutes is too much or too less. And I always say it all depends on how the session goes. Because though time is linear, it's very relative to the entire mind. And that's why when you enjoy something, 10 hours feels like 1 hour. When it feels like 1 hour, the body and mind cannot get tired. Similarly, when you don't enjoy anything, 1 hour might feel like 10 hours and it can completely drain you. So whether the webinar is going to be for 60 minutes or 3 hours, it completely depends on how exactly the webinar is going to go. So I have approximately 60 to 70 minutes for the webinar. And then I'm going to introduce an interesting course that I have launched. And then I'm going to offer free meditation hypnosis audios for all of you so that you can use some of these meditations to program your subconscious mind. So that's the agenda. And I intend and I wish that all of you stay till the last moment. And since you're here, I'm pretty sure you all believe in learning as a very crucial point of our life. And I always say learning is something that should never stop in our life. In fact, the more senior you grow or become in your organization, the more is the need for learning. Because at times, if we stop the learning, our own knowledge and experience and designation can go against us. And I always tell people, if you truly want to learn, there is enough to learn till the last breath. If you agree on what I'm saying, just type in IG that says, I agree. If you truly want to learn, you can learn till your last breath. And I think we all should be students till our last breath. If you agree, just type in an IG. It also tells me, it gives me an indication that all of you can hear me, all of you can see me, and we are good to go with the program. Thank you very much, all of you, for responding, because that's one thing that I miss from an in-person session and webinar is people's reaction and responses. But what you type over here, I wouldn't say is equivalent to you responding out there in person, but it tells me that you're completely active. So thank you very much. Coming back to the name of the webinar, Stay Strong, Stay Positive. Why? I don't think I have to really explain. How is exactly what we're going to talk about. And I'm sure all of you have already been bombarded with a plethora of information, plethora of webinars during the entire COVID times. So there could be a possibility that I would be repeating certain points. There could be a possibility that I would be saying or highlighting points that you already know. And there could be a possibility that certain points comes to you as an insight. All said and done, even though the learning and certain points might be repetitive, but it's coming at this point of time in your life for the first time. It's like reading the same book after 2 months. It might be the same book, but because you have changed and because the time is different, from the same book, you can pick up some new information. So be like a child, keep the curiosity element high, and let's do a deep dive into the entire webinar. So I'm sure all of us agree that we all are into, I'm not going to use the word pandemic, but I'm going to say we all are into a challenging phase. Previously, people for spiritual practices used to do something like this. They would try to detach, they would try to get into a different environment. They would try to lock themselves up, not necessarily in the house, but they would go into the caves in the Himalayan mountains. And then after a breakdown, they would experience a breakthrough spiritually. COVID has brought in a similar kind of challenge for all of us. It's definitely caused a disruption. It definitely put a pause in certain unconscious way of succeeding, because there are a lot of things that some of you would have set it perfectly in your professional life. And it's going in an autopilot mode beautifully. What did COVID do? It definitely put a pause to the entire stuff, which means It has made us think. It has challenged us. It has definitely brought in a disruption. And we all understand historically also that every challenge can either make us weaker or can make us stronger. Every challenge can either create breakdowns or can create breakthroughs. What I'm trying to say is both of these are a possibility for every human being as of today. We would either become weaker or stronger, either breakdowns or breakthroughs. Which one is true? It depends on how we handle during the challenging phase, and it's going to be a choice. For example, if you've ever met two kinds of people in your life, one who is mentally, emotionally very strong, and the other who's mentally, emotionally weak, you ask both of them the same question. How come you're so weak or how come you're so strong? They both will give you a similar answer. And the answer is, you have no idea what all I have gone through in life. What I'm trying to say is, the person who's strong and the person who's weak have the same reasons. And the reasons are the challenges of their life. And that's why logically, theoretically, we all say that challenges always bring in an opportunity. However, there are many people who also say, even this will pass. Undoubtedly, it will pass, but that approach cannot create a breakthrough. You can't wait there. You can't sit there and say, this will pass and everything will come back to its glorified format. No, it will not. I'm going to make a statement, but it's not a negative statement. It's a fact of life. After a prolonged challenge or a prolonged crisis, things will never come back to the way it was before. I'm not saying it cannot get better. I am not saying it will not get worse. What I'm saying is it will never come back to the way it was in the past. And that's why you can't just sit there and say the time will pass. You've got to do something at this point of time so that the future can be way better than the past also. Now, I have the first question for all of you. There are only three components when we talk about life. There is past, there is present, there is future. Assuming I'm not going to pass away the current moment, I'm going to have a future. The next, after 5 minutes, right now, when I talk about maybe 7 o'clock, that's future for me. So we have a past, we have a present, we have a future. Question for all of you. Which one is important for creating breakthroughs in your life? Which one is important for creating breakthroughs in your life? Beautiful. Beautiful. So I see some people highlighting. In fact, all of them have mentioned present. Excellent. There are so many books and articles which highlight being in the now, being in the present moment, the power of now. Yeah. So many books, so many articles, mindfulness, everything talks about being in the now. The answer for all of you is all three. Once again, the answer for all of you is all three. My question was, when we talk about, there are three parts to your life: past, present, and future. And my question was, which one is important for creating a breakthrough? And my answer is all three. All three are a part of your life. I understand the emotion when somebody says, be in the present moment. However, I don't know how many of you know, to be in the present moment, you should have mastered the past and the future also. If you have past stuck to you and worry from the future, being in the present moment is only theoretical and it cannot be experienced in a day-to-day life. And that's why, theoretically, yes, you're right when you say the present is the most important thing. However, to be in the present, you got to focus on all three, and that's extremely important. I'm not saying you got to spend a lot of time in the past, right? So I'm saying all three are extremely important. Let's talk about past. The one thing good about the past and bad about the past is you can't change the past. And that is why people who fantasize about a different past miss out on the beauty of the present and the possibility of the future. And that's why you cannot change the past, but the past brings in extremely valuable lessons. If you do not learn from the past, you will repeat your mistakes in the present and the future. And hence, for a lot of people, future is equivalent to the past. Harish, that will not work. Why? It will not work. How do you know? It has never worked. So this answer of a person is stuck to the past. So the person has never succeeded in the past, hence believes it's not going to work in the future also. That means your thinking is driven by your past. People who learn from the past ensure that their present and future is way better than the past. And that's why past is extremely important. People do say, forget the past. And I always tell people, you can never forget the past. The only way of forgetting the past is to get a memory loss. And I don't think any one of us really wants that at this point of time. So when people say, let go of the past, it actually means learn from the past and implement the learning in the present so that you reap the results and the future gets better. And then only you can look at your past failures and smile at it because you know that that failure has produced a beautiful present and is going to create a wonderful future. Otherwise, letting go of the past is not possible. Letting go of the past is not equivalent to forgetting the past. I'm a hypnotherapist. So when people come to me for therapies, they usually say, I want to just forget the past. And I say, that's not possible. You need amnesia for it. You need a memory loss for it. And that's an issue. And that's not something that you really want. So past, extremely valuable for one reason, and that's learning from the past. Now, coming back to two things, present and future. I'm going to ask you another question. Carefully listen to it. The way you behave in the present shapes your future. I'm sure all of you agree on this point. The way I behave in the present creates my future. Undoubtedly, circumstance and situations also defines a lot of things. However, the way I am behaving in the current, in the present will create a future. If I'm optimistic today, my future will be different. If I'm pessimistic today, my future undoubtedly will be different. But the way I behave in the present depends on the future or the past. I'm repeating the question. If you think it's future, type an F. If you think it's past, type a P. The way I am behaving in the present, my today's behavior depends on the future or depends on the past. The way I am behaving today is driven by the future or driven by the past. Beautiful. So I have mixed opinions right now. Both interesting. Okay. The answer for both of you, the way you behave in the present moment is majorly driven by the way you see the future, which can have an influence from the past. Undoubtedly, it can have an influence from the past, but your behavior is totally driven by how you see the future. But now the point is, people who don't learn from the past, for them, the future is more or less similar to the past. That means their behavior is driven majorly by the past only. But for people who learn from the past, they are majorly anticipating a great future. And the way you see the future controls your current behavior. I'll give you an example. Let's take an extreme example over here. Even today, we know a lot of people commit suicide. Why do people commit suicide? If I give you two options, option number one, people commit suicide because something terrible happened to them in their life. Option number two, people commit suicide because something terrible happened to them and they cannot see a hope in the future. Which one do you think, without an exception, is the reason why people commit suicide? Absolutely. Undoubtedly, it is the second one. People have never committed suicide because something bad happened to them. People have only committed suicide because on the basis of what is happening or on the basis of what's happened, they cannot see a hope in the future. Which means no matter how depressed you are, till the time you are able to see a hope in the future, your body will never let go. Your body will never let loose of everything. Your body can sustain and have that motivation. I was wondering how some freedom fighters could go beyond a third-degree torture and still sustain and still be alive. Like we've all heard about Bhagat Singh, and history says he lived without food for more than 100 days. Humanly not possible. However, he did. Now, if right now you and me anticipate or try to introspect on what do you think could be the power, or what was the source of power, and the source is only one: certainty and hope of freedom. Definitely knowing that what I'm going to do or what I'm doing is going to give me freedom, and that excitement gives you immense level of strength at a level of body, mind, and emotion. Now, why is this point extremely relevant? And I'm kind of stressing on this word, extremely relevant in the current times. Because during challenging times, people naturally tend to anticipate a terrible, a tough, a disastrous future. I've seen in so many groups and forums, people talking about how tough 2020 is going to be. 2020 is almost ending. People are anticipating a terrible 2021. They also say, you don't understand, 2021 is going to be very tough. And my point is, whether it's going to be tough or whether it's going to be great, both are assumptions or predictions which do not have any certainty. But I know one thing for a fact: how you anticipate the future has a direct control on your current behavior, and your current behavior creates a beautiful future. So what's important is asking yourself, asking your family members, asking your juniors, asking the members of your organization, how do you see the future in the next few months? And I'm not saying this is a master question during these times. It's a master question otherwise also in life. If you ever want to evaluate the motivation level of an individual, just ask them one question: how do you see the future? How do you see the next few months? And their response is a validation of their current excitement and motivation levels. And that will have a direct impact on their performance. And that's why how do you see the future is extremely important. Like if I look at my own field, a lot of, it definitely was in a pause mode because of COVID. So I started doing digital programs. I started creating digital courses. It is definitely not come to the way I was cruising in an autopilot mode with my live sessions. But people ask me, how do you see the future? And my honest answer, and not like a motivator, honest answer is way better than the past. Because I know in the future, there will be digital courses also, and there will be live sessions also. It will be a combination of both. The only thing that I don't know is whether it's going to happen in the next 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months. So it is a challenging phase. And that's why the right mindset and the right attitude is extremely important. So if you are in sync, I like clarity. Somebody's asked, okay, we can definitely keep the question towards the end, because if you have a lot of questions, I will have to keep answering them. But since I've just read this question, I can talk about this. When you don't have clarity, please understand one thing. When you talk about clarity, there are two things that we are talking about in life. One is called micro. The other is called macro. A lot of times in life, the macro may not be clear for you. You might come across or encounter people who say, my 5-year goal is clear, my 20-year-old vision is clear, my 40-year-old plan is clear. Never get stressed or bogged down by that. If your friend has his 20-year-old plan clear, you just have to ask yourself, is your plan clear for the next 20 hours? And that itself is effective. It's like driving in a foggy weather. Sometimes when you drive in a foggy weather, you have two options. Stop driving. Why? Because you can't see anything in the front. Or drive slowly, because what you need to focus on is just the immediate next few steps. And as in when you keep progressing, the next few steps will appear. That is why we say the microscopic structure of your cell and the macroscopic structure of the universe is identical. So when the macro is not clear right now, just focus on the micro and give your best in the micro. And I promise you, it's a big word, the macro will just appear. You don't have to really run behind it. It will appear. So right now, all of you know the roles that you're playing. If you're a part of the organization, you know what exactly it is. If you're selling a product, you know what exactly it is. You might be playing certain roles. like a father, like a mother, like an employee, like an employer. These are all already the reality of life. The one question that you can ask yourself is, from a micro perspective, how can I get better in each of these roles? How can I be a better father today? How can I be a better mother today? How can I be, in short, a better human being today? And I know a lot of people say, but this is not related to my business. My point is, it is. Because no matter what area of your life you talk about, there is a common connection in all of them, and that is you. And I tell people, when you work on any one area of your life, all other areas of your life will start progressing. So when people come to me and say, I meditate for 1 hour, my next question is, so has your business expanded and progressed? They'll say, no, I spoke about meditation. I said, exactly. If you have been meditating, that means you're opening up channels inside you. That means you're becoming more peaceful. That means you're gaining more clarity in your mind. That obviously should show results in your business, in your family, in short, in all areas of your life. And if that's not happening, you're only hallucinating that you're meditating. And if you think from that perspective, you will see that one area of your life, if you take one initiative, it will impact all other initiatives of life. Like some people ask me, I want to make more money. What do I do? And sometimes I give them ridiculous answers. It might sound ridiculous logically, but metaphysically, it's got a logic. Like, for example, I ask them, how are you actually behaving with the feminine energy in your life? Because money is believed to be feminine energy. And that's why in the Indian context, it's also called as Lakshmi. So my first question is, how is your behavior towards the feminine energy in your life? And for the next 21 days, change your entire behavior towards the feminine energy in your life and show more love and care. I promise you, along with that, strategize to expand your business and make more money. You will start seeing results, which looks like a miracle, but it's not a miracle. You're putting your energy in a particular direction, and the universe definitely will support you, right? And that's why when I talk about life, I talk about logic and beyond logic, because both of these are extremely important. So if this part of the story is understood by all of you, I'm now going to give you specific actionable points to create breakthrough in your life. Because right now, whatever I spoke about is awareness. And the awareness is extremely important. But now I'm going to bring it down to specific actionable points, which if you practice, be it pandemic period, non-pandemic period, tough times, good times, it doesn't matter. These practices will tremendously create, it will create a tremendous impact positively in your life. I hope you have a pen and paper. Not that these points are kind of rocket science, but you might want to just make a note of few things. They're extremely crucial and they are quite simple. When I use the word simple, that doesn't mean it's non-effective. In fact, the most effective things in life are simple things. The complex things only adds complexity in your life. They're not necessarily effective. People have the illusion that complex things are more effective. No, simple things are more effective in life. So the more you simplify life. However, the journey of simplification has some complexities. And that is why we say ignorance is bliss. However, ignorance is temporary bliss. When you start moving towards awareness, it looks like a complex world. But once you're aware, it's tremendously a simplified way of living. So simple points. So I'm talking about 3 secrets or 3 steps to create breakthroughs in your life, be it work, be it personal life, be it your health. It doesn't matter. It will create breakthrough if you follow some of these steps. Okay. Step number 1. Step number 1 is you need to have an extremely powerful morning regime or morning practice. And I'm sure a lot of you over here know this because we have been drilled with some of these points from a religious perspective. So the first point is you need to have a powerful morning practice. I'm sure all of you agree, whatever we practice, we become good at it. I repeat this point. Whatever we practice, we become good at it. Because repetition of anything goes into your subconscious mind. And once it goes into subconscious mind, it runs the same behavior in an autopilot mode. Autopilot mode, hence called subconscious, hence called habits, hence called addiction, hence called patterns. And that's why whatever you practice, you become good at it. Now, the interesting point is, it does not matter whether you're practicing good or bad, you become good at it. What do I mean by that? Like, there are some people who are excellent. The word is excellent in cribbing and complaining. And I'm sure some of you know such people, right? These people are excellent in cribbing and complaining. Now, if I ask you, why are they so good in cribbing and complaining? Your obvious answer should be practice. They practice it every day, day in, day out, from the morning till night. They've been practicing cribbing and complaining so many times that it has now become a second nature, as Thirumal is saying, second nature, which means today what they can do effortlessly is crib. What they can do effortlessly is find faults. What they can do effortlessly is criticism. Appreciation requires efforts now. Finding the good requires efforts now. Why don't you say I love you to your wife? No need to say that. It is understood. These are the justification points. A lot of people say this, right? There is no need to say it. My simple point is, if criticism can be expressed, appreciation needs to be expressed, because absence of appreciation or absence of criticism is not appreciation. That's why some people, if the food is prepared in a nice way, they will eat quietly, because they are expecting that if I'm eating quietly, that means the cook should understand it is good. But the day it is bad, I will express. Now, that's not a biased way. Or is it? I don't know. Maybe that is a biased way rather. So what should one do? When it's good also, appreciate. Absolutely fine. Under assumptions. If I'm quiet, that means people should understand it. If I'm doing this, that means things are good. No, it's important to express it, and that's extremely crucial. So we start with our morning practices, and whatever we practice, we become good at it. So I am giving you certain practices, and once you put it into your subconscious mind, it becomes a pattern, and it can undoubtedly change your life. First point. What is the first thought that comes into your mind when you open your eyes in the morning? No need to answer. I want you to think about it. It doesn't matter whether you get up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, or 8 in the morning. The question is, as soon as you get up in the morning, what is the first thought that comes into your mind? And what is the first feeling that your entire mind and body experiences? Because that gives you an indication of how your night was. If you have nightmares and multiple nightmares, your morning cannot be extremely fresh. We will come to that point in some time. So first of all, analyze what is the first thought coming to your mind in an autopilot mode. And the second point is, whatever you see, hear, and feel, as soon as you get up in the morning, for the first 5 to 10 minutes, directly goes into your subconscious mind and becomes autopilot. I repeat, whatever you see, hear, and feel in the initial 5 to 10 minutes, as soon as you get up in the morning, directly goes into your subconscious mind and it becomes an autopilot mode. So the first thing that you've got to control or bring it in your control, initial 5 to 10 minutes. Oh, Harish, I take the name of God. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, I check. Now, if you're checking this gadget as the first thing in the morning, you are in big trouble. Until and unless the messages that you're getting is super inspiring you for the day. My phone doesn't do that. My WhatsApp message doesn't do that. So if I switch on my phone in the morning and check my WhatsApp messages, I know that it is not inspiring me for sure. That means this is not the first thing that I must do. I should only touch my phone to switch off my alarm if my alarm is in my phone. So what is it that you need to do? The first thing that you can do is repeat positive statements, express gratitude, or do the mirror technique, or combine all three of them. Repeat positive statements, express gratitude for whatever you have in life. You can combine both of them by saying, as soon as I get up in the morning, just smile and say, it's a beautiful day. Today is a great day. I'm thankful for everything that I have in my life, including the house, including the family, including life. How many of you agree? When you open your eyes in the morning, the biggest success for that day and every day is you are alive. Because data says every night across the world, few thousands of people never see the morning. And I'm not talking about COVID and all. I'm talking about general times. Thousands of people in the night pass away. They would have told their family members, let's meet in the morning, good night. Morning never came. Which means if you and I woke up in the morning today, the biggest success is we are alive. And if you're alive, you can change, you can learn, you can become a better human being. If you are not sensing, acknowledging, validating that point in the morning, you are anyways missing one of the most crucial element of life. And that's life. Start your day this way. And I'm not saying this point because I'm here in a webinar. I'm only telling you things that I practice. It's an extremely powerful way of starting your day. Repeating positive statements, expressing gratitude, feeling great. And if you immediately visit the washroom, an extremely powerful self-hypnosis method is called as the mirror technique. There are a few steps that you've got to keep in mind if you want the mirror technique to be extremely powerful. So in the mirror technique, what you've got to do is, one, you directly look into your eyes. That's step number one. You do not look anywhere else. For example, even if you want to think about a point, you don't think like this, because usually when we think, our eyeballs will go up. You ask anybody a question, hey, what did you have for breakfast last Sunday? You will see the eyeballs rolling up. I don't remember. The eyeballs will go. The eyeballs will travel. But when you're doing a mirror exercise, you directly look into the eyes. Get the next statement. I repeat the same statements over and again, but the rule is not to stop for 2 minutes. Either new statements or the same statements. So it cannot be, Harish, you're a wonderful person, and then you're thinking, and then you are. No, that will not give you the self-hypnosis effect. The self-hypnosis effect comes in when you look into the eye, you don't look anywhere else, and you use the word you and continuously repeat